Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Marvel's Avengers, and today I want to talk about exotic items and take a look at all the exotics we know about so far, the artifacts, as well as a few drops that people have reported on Reddit, Twitter, different places like that, because admittedly right now, outside of the artifacts you get, exotics are incredibly rare. I'm talking like, if any of you guys are Monster Hunter players, I swear these are rarer than some of the rarest decorations, like it must have a 0.0001% drop rate or something, because I have not seen a single one outside of the ones you are given organically throughout the campaign. However, they do apparently exist. People who have been playing the game have been getting them, and supposedly they drop from elite heroic hives. Now, I haven't personally seen these. People have, however, got drops. I do wonder sometimes when things like this drop so infrequently, you do have to kind of ask yourself whether they are supposed to be dropping right now or whether it's one of those things where it's supposed to be more tied towards the endgame content coming soon, like the mega hives and of course the secret labs, and just maybe there's a mess up in the loot table that's seeing them drop anyway. That much I don't know for sure, but in this video I thought I'd talk about the ones that we have, the artifacts, and a few of the ones that we've seen dropping from other people. So if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Let me know down below, have any of you guys got exotics to drop apart from the obvious artifacts? If you have, let us know which ones they are, let us know if they're any good, and of course be sure to keep it locked if you guys are enjoying the Avengers content. But starting off at the top, of course these ones are the major artifacts you get as drops throughout the game. You have the Sacred Nornstone of Lethal Will. This is acquired during the main story when you sneak out of the anthill, and this is one of the ones that most people will be using. You have the first perk, which gives you increased critical chance when damage boost is active. You have the second perk, which gives you increased duration of all damage buffs by 4 seconds. And you have the main defining factor of the artifact, which is Tears of Fence. When you click in both sticks together, you activate a damage boost. And this basically lasts for 5 minutes, and you can then just refresh it. So I do think, the artifact's kind of weird because if you can click it and just it runs for 5 minutes and then you can refresh it, they might as well just make it a passive. But either way, whatever, that to one side, this is one of the ones that most people will use. The other option, of course, the one you get early on, is the Tactagon. This one you get by completing the main story campaign. This is one of the ones that I personally use for my Thor build just because it kind of goes quite nicely with some of the elemental elements. But this one, of course, the first perk gives you increased damage on enemies affected by any status. The next perk gives you increased status damage for all attacks. And the final one, this one, when you click on the left and the right stick, you will simultaneously trigger an explosion that deals exploit damage on enemies affected by any status, and it increases all status damage against any unaffected enemies hit. So it is pretty good for those status builds. Of course, the third one is the Dark Hold. You get this one when you complete the Reigning Supreme mission chain, which of course is the sort of post-campaign Avengers initiative stuff. And this one is great for those kind of hybrid builds focusing on, say, healing at the cost of heroic energy or charging heroic energy at the cost of health, because the first perk is when you click this one together, you drain all heroic energy to restore all health. Meanwhile, the second perk is that you will simultaneously, when over 50% willpower, drain your willpower to critical levels and charge all heroics. And for the last one is when you are at full willpower and with full heroic meter, you can drain both to 50% and create a damage explosion. So this one is one of those kind of like sacrificial elements, so to speak, but there is of course that if you want to play with that style. And then finally the last one, the Ring of Nibalung. This one actually comes when you complete the final mission, the kind of single player one, the 14 floor hive you need to do called the Last Avenger. Once you've done that one, you can get this as your first time completion reward. And this one, the first perk, increase the amount restored by all orbs by 11.6%. The next boost is a chance to, when you defeat enemies, produce a random orb of any type. And the third perk, the activation one, will simultaneously generate a random bounty of regen packs, heroic orbs, or intrinsic orbs. So again, good for those orb generations. So those are the ones that you will encounter. Those are the ones that everybody will get. You don't need to worry about RNG. You will simply get them organically by playing throughout the game, and you can then pick and choose whichever one you want. You do kind of want to focus on one of them because they use that rather expensive resource. So to upgrade them, it's not like you'll be upgrading all of them anytime soon, so I'd highly recommend picking one and just sticking to it for the time being, since once you boost it to power level 10, this is how you'll be getting to 150 gear score. However, outside of that, there are a few that have been dropping from users on Reddit, so we've got some screenshots here with, of course, credits to those users. User Calitu Short has one for Iron Man, which is the superior Mark 15 Doomfists. This one we see here has a perk where light combo finishers trigger a burst of plasma damage. You then have the light signature attacks, apply plasma damage, dispersing plasma energy on every impact. And you then have the third perk, Armor Amplifier, which increases status damage for all weapons, which is very nice for those status focused builds. You then have one from Kizza, I believe that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, despite the fact that it's an X. This one was for Captain America, the Conduit of the Super Soldier. This one has the perk Pim Tipped Edge, where ranged attacks deal Pim particle damage, which is really cool. Of course, Pim particles are the ones that will shrink your enemies, and critical attack hits will deal additional particle damage. You then get ranged power attacks deal particle damage, generating a field of Pim particles that disperses on impact. And you then have the final one, where there's a chance to taunt an enemy after a successful ranged power attack. So, of course, good if you want to play the tanky role. One from Nokami93, this one is Harbingers of the Nomad, where your first perk, light combo finisher attacks deal cryo damage, heavy power attacks also deal cryo damage, and then when an enemy is hit by a light combo finisher, they become taunted, so also pretty strong. The one from user Skolt0703 is the Rampart of the Nomad. This one further reduces the impact resistance applied while debuffed after successful parries by 50%. You then get an increased charge rate of heroic support ability by 18%, and Eagle's Cry, which increases the duration of Rally Cry by 3 seconds, which is very, very nice. One for Thor over here, Darksiders Rage 2, he got the Girdle of the Thunderer. Now, it's interesting to note because some of these exotics do have the same perks, or the same name, should I say, as the legendaries, which makes me think that maybe they are kind of accidental drops because they don't all seem to be drastically different. But anyway, that aside, the Girdle of the Thunderer, Asgard's Dominion, increases all damage dealt while overcharged by 20%, which is massive. Increases the amount of shock damage dealt with any attack by 24%, and Asgard's Fury, which increases the amount of overcharge energy gained from all attacks. You also have the Chestplate of the Thunderer, which increases the rate of heroic energy regeneration while overcharged. You also get an increase to willpower regeneration while overcharged, and you also get an increase to the amount of overcharge energy gained from all attacks. As for Hulk, one from Dittodat, this one is the World Breaker Neuronics. This one increases your charge rate of the heroic ultimate ability. You also have a 33% chance to completely resist spin attacks, preventing any heroic charge rate energy loss, and you get an increased charge rate of the heroic assault ability, which is huge. One for Miss Marvel from Venom Pro 1. This one is the Marvelous Regalia, which adds a damage buff to any team member affected by Team Spirit that increases all damage dealt by 20%. It also adds a critical attack chance bonus of 35% to any team member affected by Team Spirit and increases charge rate of heroic support abilities by 18%. And then finally for Widow from Soul Edge 23. This item here is the Red Room Uniform. The Stealth Recovery has a 200% increased willpower regeneration when invisibility is active, so great for survivability. You get the Suppression Resilience, and you get an increase to the distance covered during any evade. So those are some pretty nice items. Now again, as mentioned, not entirely sure whether they are supposed to be dropping right now, given they are so incredibly rare. I mean, we've sunk a good, I want to say 70-ish hours into the game so far, and not a single one of our team, that's 4 of us playing together, not a single one of us has seen an exotic drop, so they are definitely pretty rare. But either way, that is a look at some of the exotics that are in the game so far. Again, if you guys have got any, let me know in the comments down below, and of course keep it locked for plenty more Avengers videos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.